You can begin this session by taking in a few deep breaths and slowly allow your eyes to close. And as you allow your eyes to close, you can arrange yourself in a position where you can feel relaxed. Because whether you have a lot of familiarity with guided imagery, or you're kind of new to something like this, you can rest assured knowing there's no right way to do this exercise. There's no specific place your mind must go, or level of consciousness you are expected to achieve. Nor is there any certain way you are supposed to sit or lie down. You can simply position yourself in a way that's comfortable enough, allowing your mind to absorb whatever information it can. Because with all that will be discussed, it would be unrealistic for you to remember everything being said, or be present for the entire experience. So just being able to track at least some of what you hear can be good enough to open your mind up to the simple yet important notion that it can feel pretty good to be pretty good. So as the tension in your muscles begins to evaporate and you feel your body begin to settle into a more comfortable place with your eyes safely shut and your breathing beginning to slow, you can start to consider how you can change a great deal without having to change everything. So any thoughts about this experience needing to bring about absolute change, or any expectations of you having to completely change something about yourself today or any other day, can slowly start to dissolve. Because when you engage in a self-care exercise like this, it wouldn't make much sense to take on any unnecessary pressure, especially considering how there can already be so much to do on a day-to-day basis, and it can be so mentally and physically draining when it feels like so much is expected of you, and the demand to have to be productive and get so much done can understandably become exhausting. So metaphorically speaking, it wouldn't do much good to put any extra weight on your shoulders, even though it's not uncommon during these introspective journeys for the body to feel heavier, considering how little effort it takes to sink, like a rock in the water, deeper into relaxation. At the same time, some people may feel their bodies become lighter as they become more relaxed, which also makes sense, considering how seamlessly the weight of expectations can begin to evaporate, or when you consider how easy it is for your own thoughts to weightlessly float like a cloud from one idea to another. And within the minutes and hours that fill up the day, there are countless number of places your thoughts can venture off to, which may be why it's so natural for the mind to daydream and just drift off on a mental vacation to someplace else, which you could allow yourself to do right here if you'd like, and simply give your mind permission to travel off to somewhere more pleasurable, somewhere specific, or nowhere in particular, somewhere far away that would take a long time to get to, or somewhere right around the corner from here, and begin to picture yourself doing something you love, something meaningful to you, something you've done a number of times before, or merely thought about doing. And even with your eyes comfortably closed, you can begin to develop a clear image of what it's like to be there, seeing the vivid details and hearing the sounds that make this place unique, thinking to yourself how nice it can be to sometimes just do something more enjoyable than productive, and giving yourself the okay to check out for a bit. And those physiological sensations that come from being somewhere you love and doing something you love can continue to disperse throughout the cells in your body, generating that bliss and elation. And the spread of these emotional molecules can help you feel even more absorbed in this experience. So absorbed that you may notice how you aren't really concerned with any unrelated or obscure aspects in this scene. And you may be too busy enjoying the experience to even entertain any thoughts about every detail needing to be perfect, because it can be such a waste of time to ruminate over the irrelevant details that maybe aren't that important, or may even be out of your control. And regardless of where your mind chose to travel to, or what you are picturing yourself doing, it's interesting how the brain can place such value on an experience and make it so willingly available to you, despite it not being perfect, which can make you stop and consider if it's really more work than it's worth to ruminate over whether or not things need to play out exactly how you want them to. And if just being able to experience something meaningful and do something meaningful is probably good enough to make you feel pretty good. And there may be some things about meaningful experiences that you can't remember. And that's perfectly fine, because it would be irrational to expect you to remember everything, even though you can remember a lot. You can still forget to remember, while you get to forget some of the things that aren't really worth remembering, while not forgetting to remember those times where you felt so at ease and so content knowing what it's like to have that unique sensation of comfort travel all throughout your body, perhaps similar to the comfort you experience when the seasons change and it gets a little colder, and you put on that old sweatshirt you've had for some time, the one you reach for when the cold air first touches your skin, that you've owned for a while and ironically seems to fit better and better the more wear and tear it gets. Or that old pair of comfortable pants that aren't in pristine condition but somehow seem to fit better the more you wear them. And it's interesting to consider how some things that get better with age can gradually become more imperfect, yet with time turn out to be more appreciated and more valued. And when you really think deeply about it, the same can be said about certain people. The ones who provide you with physical and emotional comfort. People whose life experience and own wear and tear has given them insight and the ability to understand what's going on and provide that ever important, encouraging, and reasonable voice. You may even be reminded of such a person in your own life, someone who gives you a special level of reassurance, a friend, a partner, family member, grandparent, that person you go to when something happens, that person you can count on to be empathetic with their words. And it so often seems like the longer you listen to that encouraging and reasonable voice, the better you feel, and the more you appreciate their presence, so much that it can feel like they are here with you at this moment, extending their loving words of safety and security, which can comfort you like an old sweatshirt, and you can hear their distinct voice reminding you of all the things you're doing well, encouraging you to consider the likelihood that maybe you're doing a pretty good job. They may even introduce the possibility that your internal drive that is pushing you to get so much done can be seen as evidence that you care, which is a good thing. And perhaps most importantly, you can hear them emphasizing the importance of showing yourself grace and understanding during those times when everything doesn't work out. And their voice can be so impactful that any critical voice of perfectionism or unrealistic standards can begin to fade into the background, leaving room for you to sink even deeper into relaxation so you can feel more calm and more assured that as time moves forward in the next few hours or the next few days, in those moments where you feel that pressure to be perfect or have everything go right. You can have the voice of that loving and supportive person readily available to you, telling you in an encouraging and reasonable way that you don't have to be good at everything, because it would be unreasonable for you to be expected to always do well or get everything right, and that you can instead continue to strive for the things that are important to you, while simultaneously being kind and understanding towards yourself when things don't go according to plan. And you can easily begin to discover your own encouraging and reasonable voice to help you question if a task is something you have to do or something that would really benefit you. If something in the future has to happen, or maybe it would just be great if it did. As you become increasingly aware of that tipping point where you start to see diminishing returns, when wanting everything to work out becomes more effort than it's worth. So as you continue to better understand yourself and your awareness of your own thinking continues to evolve, you may even develop a different understanding of those worrisome thoughts and begin to see them instead as evidence that you care and that certain things matter to you. So you can continue to care and at the same time find it easier to refrain from caring about things that don't really matter or maybe aren't working for you, because you don't have to think about everything that might happen, especially considering how there are so many factors outside of your control. And as you start to gradually bring this experience to an end, you can take some time to consider the important understandings you've made during this time you've set aside for yourself, and find it easier to move forward without the extra weight of unrealistic expectations on your shoulders. As you consider all of the really great things you want to accomplish. And you can bring this experience to a close by opening your eyes, stretching out your arms and legs, and feel more prepared to have a pretty good day.